She's like a sickness in my brain, a vision standing by the window pane. She ripples through the blinds and leaves me in a daze. It's in the way her body moves me, the way she grabs me and intoxicates, until the signals in my mind forget to operate. Fragile skull, I take my pleasure from my alcohol. She'll never give you any time at all. She just comes and goes, you know, and she's got me living in a chemical love, and I try to find the strength to know when she comes back to me again. I'm gonna come up from my hobby.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to Coffee and Crime Time. So today we're using the hashtag mug. You saw me making the coffee, but it's pretty much all gone now because it's been one of those days. And also, don't say anything about my hair. I know it's a mess. I went a little bit harder at the gym today than I expected, so I was really sweaty and it got really frizzy, and it's gonna get washed, but later. We're using the hashtag mug today because I have just hit 10,000 followers on Instagram, and I'm so pumped. Thank you guys so much. It's really exciting for me. It's really exciting for me. I know it's a stupid and shallow thing to be excited about, but it's really exciting for me. I love Instagram. I love posting pictures. I love interacting with you guys on there. I talk to a lot of you guys in messages, direct messages. You slide into my DMs. Is that what the kids are saying? Slide into my DMs. But y'all slide into my DMs and I slide back into yours. If you have sent me a message on Instagram and I haven't responded, I will be getting back to you. Don't worry, it just takes me time to get through all of them. But if you haven't followed me on Instagram yet, go ahead and do that. It's Stephanie Harlowe, just my name on Instagram. So we have a couple things to talk about today, a couple updates on stories that we've talked about previously, and one new story, I believe. But before we do, I just want to remind you, I talked about it in part 4 of my Manson video, but my Ana Luisa code for their website, $10 off your first purchase, that's still good. So if you haven't checked them out yet and you want to, go ahead and check them out. Use the link I put in the description box, and then use the code SLEUTHANY10 for $10 off your first purchase. They're really pretty. I'm wearing the collada one today. I know it's probably not technically a collada one, but that's what I call it, so. I also want to show you guys what I got in the mail from HarperCollins Publishing today. It's a book. It's a real live book, guys. And I know it's silly for me to say it's a real live book, but it is a real live book. I do so much of my reading on either Audible or through the Kindle app that it's been a long time since I've read an actual book. So I'm very excited. But look how it came. It has crime scene tape wrapped on it. Oh my God. Is that so cute or what? I love it. So this is The Killer Across the Table, and this is by John Douglas and Mark Olshaker. Now, I really think that you guys would be interested in this book. And if you don't know anything about John Douglas, he was actually the inspiration for the lead character on Netflix's Mindhunter. It's a great show. He's also been the inspiration for a bunch of different characters throughout the crime genre. So if you ever watched the TV show called Hannibal, it was a great show. I was really upset when it was canceled, but the lead cop character in there, Will Graham, he was sort of loosely based off of John Douglas. Douglas was a criminal profiler for the FBI. He's since retired, and now he, writes books and things, and he speaks on panels, but he's been for quite a while a huge inspiration to me. He's somebody I look up to. He's somebody I really respect. And when they reached out to me to see if they could send me the book to read, they didn't ask me to review it. They didn't ask me to tell you guys about it. They just said, I think you'd be interested in this. I was so pumped. I almost wanted to be like, hey, do you think, since he's in New York and I'm in New York, do you think we can arrange a meet and greet? Because I would die. I would die to meet John Douglas and just talk to him and pick his brain. Oh my God. I can't. I'm fangirling right now. This is the kind of stuff that I fangirl about. And John Douglas has obviously interviewed some of the worst people in the world, right? Serial killers, cult leaders. He interviewed Charles Manson. But this book, The Killer Across the Table, is about 4 of the most horrific serial killers and criminals that he's ever sat across the table from and interviewed. This is the perfect book for me because he goes really deep into each of the 4 men's lives and crimes and kind of investigates why they committed these murders, what factors led to them committing these murders. And the 4 people that he talks about are Donald Harvey, Todd Kohlhepp, Joseph McGowan and Joseph Condro. I'm so excited to get into the book and read it, guys. If you want, after I read it, I'll let you know what I thought about it, but I'm also going to put a link to the book on Amazon if you want to check it out for yourself, and then we can kind of have like a little book club, so that would be fun too. We can go live and talk about it. I would like that. Anyways, I'm really excited. Let me know if you guys get it and let me know what you think. So let's get started on our coffee and crime time today, and I'll just start off by saying, in our Kelly news today, because this guy just cannot quit. He can't just go away quietly. He can't just go to prison and be accountable for his crimes and shut his mouth. He has to just constantly do something, say something, or be something that we need to talk about. So he's finally getting, brought to justice for all these crimes that he committed. He is going to trial for it, and that's awesome. But he was also brought up on civil charges by a girl named Heather Williams. So there's a difference between a civil and a criminal court, and a civil and a criminal case, and she's filing charges against him in a civil court. But she is also one of the defendants in his criminal court case against him, that there's multiple girls who are accusing him of these things. So she's filed a separate civil claim against him. And he was supposed to go to court on April 23rd and 24th, and he failed to show up. He said he doesn't recall being served because he doesn't know how to read. So he must have gotten the summons, but since he can't read, he didn't know what it was about or what he had to do, and then he failed to show up, which as a result of him not showing up, by default, he is now considered to be guilty of these crimes. He lost the case because he just didn't show. Now, on April 24th, Kelly's publicist made a statement that said, "We don't care about the lawsuit. The lawsuit means nothing to us." So because you don't care, R. Kelly, or because you can't read, you've now lost this court case. And it is actually important, and you should care, because the results of a civil trial can be brought into a criminal trial. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're found guilty of what this girl says you did in her civil case, and she's part of the criminal case against you, they can now take the results of this civil case and use them against you in a criminal case, which I guess you didn't think about before your stupid publicist opened his stupid mouth. Time to get a new publicist, as far as I'm concerned, because there should never, ever be a time when you allow your publicist to say, "We don't care about this case or this trial. We don't care about this girl who's filing this complaint. We don't care about it. It's not important enough to us." There's a victim here, a victim that you hurt, a victim that you took advantage of when she was very young, and now you have somebody on your behalf say you don't care about that. It doesn't make you look good. I don't know if R. Kelly could look any worse at this point, but if he could, his publicist just achieved that for him. But now his lawyers want to fight it because they say he wasn't properly notified because of his condition of not being able to read. You not being able to read is not a condition. It's not a disease. It's not like you are stuck with this for life and nothing will ever change it and you have to take medicine, or if you don't, you'll die. This isn't a condition. You're not dyslexic where when you look at words, they just seem all jumbled up. You're illiterate. You can't read. Nobody ever taught you to read. Whatever, that's fine. I feel bad. But at this point, as a grown-ass man who's had money and power and fame for many, many years, did it ever occur to you to maybe learn to read? Did it ever occur to you? And I don't even know if I believe that he can't read. I believe that he's probably not like the best reader. He's not out there reading Wuthering Heights and, Harry Potter, but I believe that he has enough reading skills to read basic things. Because he's written songs, he's somehow managed to show up to other court dates. And if you get a court document, don't you think you should then hand it over to your lawyers so that they can figure out what it is, what it means, and where you need to be so you don't miss a court date? I honestly think that his publicist was correct. He just doesn't care. It's not that he can't read. That's an excuse. That's trying to make him a victim. That's trying to make people feel sorry for him. At this point, R. Kelly needs to definitely look in to getting a tutor, because my friend, you're going to be spending a lot of time in and out of court in the next couple of months. So you should probably learn how to read, or just have all your mail sent to your lawyer. So now his lawyers want to fight this charge that happened when he didn't show up. And it's unbelievable because he's an adult. If he didn't show up when he was properly notified, that's nobody's fault but his. You can't hold up the whole proceedings. You can't basically make everybody else show up and then he doesn't show up, so everybody for 2 days just completely turned their lives around so they could be there, but he didn't bother to be there because he didn't care or he couldn't read, whatever. As of a couple of hours ago, this R. Kelly saga has been updated. R. Kelly's defense attorney predicts the singer's ongoing criminal case in Cook County will end with the embattled R&B superstar once again walking free. It's going to end with a dismissal or a not guilty verdict, Steve Greenberg, Kelly's attorney, said on the BBC podcast The Next Episode. Greenberg also maintains that despite the decades of allegations against his client, Kelly is just a regular guy. Now, get this. He lives in a regular condo in Trump Tower. He eats, as everyone knows, he eats McDonald's. Greenberg said he plays basketball, he sings, goes out for relaxation, he smokes cigars at a cigar bar. He's a pretty simple guy. He's a pretty simple guy, you know, just your basic everyday guy living in a condo at Trump Tower, putting out records, getting paid, going on tour, getting sexual harassment allegations thrown at him every time he opens his front door. Just a regular guy. Smokes cigars at the cigar bar. And he likes to eat at McDonald's, guys, okay? So he couldn't possibly be guilty of these charges because he loves his McRib at McDonald's. So this couldn't have anything to do with him. He's just a regular guy. What does that even mean, Greenberg? What does it mean that he's just a regular guy? Do regular guys not commit crimes against, young girls? Are you trying to show us that he's just like everyone else? He's not special. He doesn't have a lot of money. Well, he doesn't have a lot of money now, but he did at one point. He hasn't worked with some of the biggest names in the music industry. He hasn't lived out most of his adult life in mansions and flying from city to city and being able to just prey on any girl he wanted in any city he wanted because all the other regular guys out there just didn't want to say anything about it. Just come on, man, come on. So that's all I'm going to say now. We'll watch this as it unfolds. But I really hope that Greenberg is either delusional or he's just trying to kind of throw everybody off the scent and make people think that this isn't as big of a deal as it is because R. Kelly is going to prison. R. Kelly is going to prison, mark my words. If he does not go to prison, we have a justice system that's flawed beyond belief and beyond repair at this point. If he does not go to prison, if he doesn't serve time, I wouldn't even know what to say about that. We'll see what happens, and then we'll see what I have to say about it. But let's hope that's not what it comes to. Next, let's talk about Chris Watts. Now, this story was published in People magazine, so let's take it with a grain of salt at first until we know more information. People magazine, to me, it might as well be the National Enquirer or Star magazine. It's just kind of like a tabloid. They print things that are inflammatory. They print things that are sensationalized. Just to get a story. But People magazine did report that Chris Watts is looking into ways to appeal his conviction for killing his wife and daughters. They cite that a source close to Watts, who they do not name, tells people that Watts is looking into ways to appeal his punishment, and he has been researching his case and other similar cases. Obviously, it would be an uphill battle for him because he pleaded guilty, says the source. Obviously, he basically gave us every single small detail about how he committed these crimes and what he did after and what he did before. So I think an uphill battle is an understatement. The source says that Watts has spoken with attorneys on the phone but doesn't have a plan for his representation. It will cost him money that he just doesn't have, says the insider, but he is still exploring his options. First of all, Chris Watts doesn't have as little money as you might think he has. Chris Watts literally has one of the most large, loyal, and crazy lunatic fan bases I've ever seen in my life. I cannot believe a man that would kill his pregnant wife and his 2 little daughters could have such rabid and loyal and bananas supporters, but they're out there all over the world. It still blows my mind every day, and it makes me angry that Chris Watts has people out there who have his back, who send him fan mail, who send him letters of encouragement and hope, and who send him money. Now, it also is possible that a lawyer might take this case just to get the exposure that it would give this person in the future, because Chris Watts is, for some reason, a big draw on YouTube and outside of YouTube. I cannot believe how many people still make Chris Watts videos every single day because it brings the views. It's disgusting. It's like beating a dead horse. Chris Watts is in prison. He's gonna stay in prison for the rest of his life. There's no way that he could appeal a conviction. There's no way that any judge or jury in the entire world could possibly look at that man and hear what he had to say and say, yeah, you know what? You got a point, dude. You got a point. So he's gonna be in jail forever. We don't really need to talk about what he has in his cell or what he's getting in commissary. It's pointless. It's just letting him live on. Now, if he does appeal his conviction, obviously that's something we would want to talk about. If the universe goes absolutely upside down and R. Kelly doesn't go to jail and Chris Watts appeals his conviction and wins, I'm out. I'm gonna go and get on a spaceship and find a new planet to live on because I can't even with this shit ever at all. No. Chris Watts has found God, of course. They all do in prison. They all find God because it makes them more relatable and it makes them more sympathetic to everybody. These people don't know what God looks like. These people will never find God. God doesn't want you. And I know I'm gonna get all the crazy people in the comments, the Chris Watts fan people, and the people who are so deeply religious to a fault that they're gonna tell me I'm wrong and I need to forgive him. I don't need to forgive him. He hasn't done anything to me. Forgiveness is not mine to give to Chris Watts. He needs to be forgiven by his wife and the baby that was in her stomach and the 2 daughters that he murdered in cold blood and then disposed of like they were trash. That's who needs to forgive him. And maybe one day when he finally dies, he may meet them and maybe they will have that forgiveness to give. I doubt it, but maybe. But that's not my forgiveness to give him. It's not your forgiveness to give him. And I will reiterate my previous statement. God doesn't want these people, okay? I don't care. I don't care. He hasn't found God. God hasn't found him. He's just playing an angle. They all do that in prison. I think it's on like the 3rd or 2nd page of the prison manual. When they teach how to survive prison 101, they're like, and you need to find God. Some kind of God. We don't care which one it is. Pick a religion, pick a deity, and then just find them. And people will feel like you're recovered and you're not a horrible, brutal murderer anymore. He's found God and he allegedly reads bedtime stories to his daughter's picture in his cell every night. I can't talk about this anymore. I'm just getting mad and I would like to have a good day without so much rage that I need to go back to the gym to run it out. So let's move on to a different story, which isn't gonna make me any less full of rage. It's gonna make me pretty rageful. Tiffany Moss was sentenced to death for starving her 10-year-old stepdaughter. And in this picture they show of Tiffany Moss, and I believe it's the picture they took of her when she was hearing her sentence being read. I just want to slap her in her stupid face because she looks almost like defiant and smug. Like, she doesn't show any emotion, but there's something on her face. I don't know if it's just the crime that she committed or if it's an actual facial expression. I'll show you the picture. Is this an actual facial expression that I see where it almost looks like she's trying not to smile? I just want to slap her in her face. So authorities found the body of Imani Moss, a 10-year-old girl, and it was buried in a galvanized steel trash can. This was in 2013. After her autopsy, it was released that the 10-year-old girl weighed only 32 pounds at the time of her death. So the story that Imani's father told was that he came home one night and found his daughter barely breathing. So he tried to perform CPR, but then she died. And then his wife, Tiffany, who was Imani's stepmother, said to cremate her and then get rid of her body. So he did. He pleaded guilty to the role in her death in 2015, and he is currently serving a life sentence in prison, but he is eventually the one who was uncomfortable with the plan and ended up calling the police. You were so uncomfortable with the plan. You should have called the police when your crazy-ass wife told you to burn the body of your dead daughter that's only dead because she starved her to death. They say that Tiffany remained emotionless and calm as her verdict was read in court, and she defended herself, so she represented herself as her own counsel, but she didn't say anything in her defense, and she didn't even question any eyewitnesses, or she didn't do anything basically. But now they want to appeal the conviction. You don't get to appeal the conviction if you were allowed to defend yourself in trial and you did nothing to defend yourself. You should not be allowed to appeal this conviction. But she has been sentenced to death by lethal injection, and I don't want this to turn into a whole death penalty, is it right, is it wrong debate, but I'm glad. I think that it's definitely well-deserved. Guys, it's just absolutely unacceptable to abuse a child, and it's definitely worthy of a life sentence or a death sentence when you abuse that child to the point where that child dies and you've taken their entire life away from them. I'm sorry. You guys know, if you watch my videos, that I have a real issue with people that hurt children or animals, and it just seems like there's so much of that going on. I mean, there was that one story where the woman threw the puppies away at Coachella, like 5 puppies, and she just put them in a bag and threw them in a trash can. There's a million shelters around. Drop them off at a shelter. People love rescuing dogs. People love adopting animals that need to be rescued. Drop them off at a shelter. Give them a chance. Like, what is wrong with people in this world? And I'm so glad that people are being held accountable, because I really think that if you hold these people accountable and you make it visible enough and you broadcast it on every news network you can find, other people who might consider doing the same thing may be deterred from doing so. And as far as Tiffany Moss goes, I know there's going to be a lot of people out there who are going to say, oh, does she deserve the death penalty though? Does she deserve the death penalty? It's sort of like, did she mean to kill her, or was she just abusive and neglectful and then the girl died as a result of that? No. If you guys go ahead and Google it and read the story of what this little girl went through before she died, and then tell me that you don't feel like this woman deserves what she's getting. Does the death penalty make me feel uncomfortable sometimes? Do I feel that as an evolved and, highly intelligent society, as we consider ourselves to be, do I feel that something like the death penalty should exist? It's not an issue that I fall strongly one way or the other on. I go sort of on a case-by-case basis. I would never be somebody who would, speak out pro-death penalty, and I would never be somebody who would speak out anti-death penalty, because it's just there's so many gray areas to it. However, when things like this happen, there is that animal instinct almost, right? That angry instinct inside of me, that vengeful, biological instinct inside of all of us that is really, animalistic and very raw, that feels like you deserve that. I feel that Chris Watts should have gotten the death penalty. And there's a lot of people who argue with me and say, the death penalty is too good for these people. They need to live with what they've done. Well, you're assuming that they care or feel bad about what they've done. And typically, people who would commit these kind of crimes, they don't have the same moral compass as you and I. You're attributing your good heart and your good soul onto these people who don't have that. So no, I don't believe that they're living their whole lives with what they've done. I don't believe that they're just being tortured by the thoughts of their crimes for the rest of their lives. I believe they're sitting in prison and, playing basketball like Chris Watts is, and watching TV and reading books and getting college degrees. And they're not thinking any more about what they've done. It's kind of like an eye for an eye. We're going back to Hammurabi's code here, but that's my personal opinion. It's a case-by-case basis. Would I ever say, yes, the death penalty's right? No. Would I say it was wrong? No. I'm fence sitting here. So don't come for me, or do. I don't care. That's my opinion. All right, guys. So that's going to be it for today's coffee and crime time. I'm going to try to edit this and have it up for you by tomorrow. So today's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. Tomorrow I'm actually recording 2 videos. It's going to be a lot. Tomorrow's going to be a big day for me. I'm recording 2 videos, and I have to edit some videos. I've got to get my April favorites out. So I'm going to talk in my April favorites about all my favorite books and podcasts and TV shows and new makeup items or beauty items that I've been using, all the cool things that I've discovered in the month of April. I can't wait to tell you about it. And I'm also editing my April vlog. So you'll see my vacation footage and, a couple other things. You'll get a more personal look at what I go through day to day and the way I'm feeling about it as I go. So I have to record 2 videos. I have to edit those videos. I have to record the next part of the Manson video, edit that. So I am going to be a very, very busy girl this weekend. But we're also going to Hamilton on Sunday. Hamilton's in town, and Adam's bringing me and Aiden and Nev, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited. So I'll have a little break there. It'll be worth it to like bust my ass all weekend to get all this work done, to be able to see Hamilton on Sunday night, where I will be sobbing like a child. I'll be sobbing like a child the entire time. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay kind and stay beautiful, and I love you. Bye.
I take my pleasure from my alcohol. She'll never give you any time.